This is the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson. In time, peace will come to Syria, and I believe without President Assad in power. This means at some point all of the sanctions will be lifted and Syria will be an economic partner with the United States. Where the political risk lies currently is in deals and projects done with Lebanon. Lebanon now finds itself having to absorb refugees from the Syrian conflict. Anytime a nation takes in those who need sanctuary, there are places that they provide for these refugees in local communities do bear the brunt of food, water, medical supplies, and transportation. This is an increased political risk along the commonly shared border of Syria and Lebanon due to the conflict in Syria. Those fleeing the brutality of the Syrian conflict deserve sanctuary, wherever they can find it, and I fully support Lebanon in their efforts to take care of these people as they come across the border. Syria's main border crossing with Lebanon saw a flood of 20,000 Syrians crossing just last week. How to gauge this humanitarian action on a political risk level must be looked at in the sense of a small town, a community. Looking at your own town, looking around your own city, your own neighborhood. What would it mean if yourself and all your neighbors opened your door to people fleeing some type of problem in a neighboring town? It's going to cause some degree of strain economically. You're going to have to provide for these people, provide transport, housing, food, and things of that nature. Now take that out of the context of the American model and place it in a much less upscale area, a border crossing in Lebanon, where some of the direct foreign investments may be things that we take for granted, such as food and water, paved roads, and things of that nature that American businesses and direct foreign investors are involved in. Those types of projects will be slowed down or stopped because the Lebanese people are doing the humane thing by taking care of their neighbors as they come across the border. This creates a strain economically, therefore it creates a political risk. Very simply, if you are invested in a project or have a business deal in Lebanon, you need to get out a map and find where the deal and or investment is located physically. Projects or investments near the Syrian border are at political risk due to a strain on the local economy. I'm particularly concerned about transportation, civil unrest, and the food supplies. My concern is first focused on the ability of Lebanese towns on the border to absorb refugees. Direct foreign investors who are currently engaged in these border regions must seek to increase their political risk insurance. Major slowdowns in transporting goods from this region to ports due to the diversion of resources to the humanitarian crisis is the main political risk. The potential for civil unrest and the destruction of property only exists in the scenario that involves Syrian military units crossing the border to pursue refugees. I really don't see this as a possibility for several reasons. First, the Assad regime has had massive defections in its army, and it is now less likely to fire on fleeing civilians than it is to join them. Secondly, any action now by a weak Syrian government to pick a fight with Lebanon will likely bring in Turkey, and by giving these nations an excuse, Assad signs his own death certificate. Having said this, the focus should be on direct foreign investment and business ventures that are in the transportation industry and ancillary to that in the areas along the border. Imports and exports from the regions along the Syrian and Lebanese border are at the greatest political risk in this particular situation involving the Syrian conflict. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson.